thought that was big. Wait till you see what's about to unfold here at Phillip Island. This is the Superbike race. Now, some real dramas already with qualifying yesterday. Kirk McCarthy injured himself, a big crash. Fortunately is okay, a little bit sore and sorry, but will start the race. In fact, that's him there on screen. And let's have a look at the grid. Sean Giles from pole, Mladen beside him, Craggle and Jason McEwen. That is your front row. Now, we managed to catch up with Sean Giles just prior to the start.
Yeah, well, basically I've just got to go out there and ride as hard as what I always ride, and hopefully I can come out with 2 wins. If I can do that, well, I've got a chance of trying to win the championship, depending on where Kirk finishes. So if Kirk's a bit sore and feeling a bit, bruised and that, maybe he might not finish in the top 5, so that gives me a good chance.
Last round at Malala, yourself, Kirk and Matt Mladen, some pretty close racing, a little bit of bumping and biffing and barging. Any scores to be settled this weekend?
No, I'd just rather get along with the job and go out there and try and win. I don't really enjoy that sort of stuff, but if it happens, it happens. I think you've got to try and ride cleanly, and if you can ride cleanly and win, well, that's the way to do it.
Yes, it certainly is. Dennis Neal, I would say that Sean Giles a little bit more confident, but McCarthy's just not going to give this away.
Well, McCarthy done a great job to come back from that huge crash yesterday. He is on a factory-prepared RC45. That bike should be totally suited to the circuit, so I think it's going to be a great race between Mladen, McCarthy and Giles.
Seconds from a start, looking for a big start from the front row. Everybody wants to get through the first corner cleanly. Oh, Mladen fires from the line. A great run from him. Sean Giles is also up there, so Sean looking to try and get the points on board. Mladen ducks to the inside. Here's Giles in second place. Then it's back to Craggle, then the Hondas. Now that RC45 that McCarthy is riding, $250,000 worth of equipment, Simon Crayfar's machine, should be weapon fast around here, and it's sorted out on the Phillip Island racetrack. So we'll just have to see what the injured McCarthy can do with it. But it is Matthew Mladen. Track temperature, Dennis Neal, is very, very high.
Track temperature today, Greg, 41 degrees, ambient temperature 25. Mladen, Craggle and Kirk McCarthy running Dunlops. They traditionally heat up and work a little bit quicker off the gate than what the Michelins do, which is what Sean Giles is on. So that'll be in Giles' mind for the first lap or so, just to get the temperature into the tyres. Mladen's obviously going to try and make as much ground as he can in this first lap.
Well, I'd say right at the moment, both the Michelin guys, Giles and Jason McEwen, thinking about not only that, but also that they're sitting back point score-wise. McEwen would be trying to support Sean Giles, and Giles just simply has to go head-to-head with Kirk McCarthy. He has no choice at this point as they head up Lukey Heights, up and over the hill, and the Superbikes are wild as they power slide their way over there. We'll see that in a few laps' time as the tyres start to go away just a little bit. And again, they loft the front wheel as they go through the S's there, heading for this long left-hander onto the straight. Again, the draft, all important here at Phillip Island. And gee, doesn't the Honda look fast as it was mid-corner there? I think really Kirk McCarthy will simply not be thinking about some of the dramas earlier yesterday. He'll just be settling down and getting on with the job. As I said, Robbie Baird, his teammate, right in behind him, but it is Matt Mladen. It is quick here, right at that point of the circuit, Dennis Neal. The bike is super fast as it turns in.
Very, very fast, the Kawasaki. Has substantially more power than the Ducatis in this race, about 147 PS at the rear wheel. But this factory bike that McCarthy's on, I think once he gets into the heat into his tyres, he'll be really a man on a mission.
You can see there Mladen having a good look behind. In fact, Mladen's bike's starting to move around a fair bit. Let's have a look at it again as he heads into Honda. He gives it a big fistful as he goes back the gears. And the Ducatis, Dennis, I'm super surprised that they're just not that much faster when it comes to the tight parts of the circuit. A flowing track like this, though, suits virtually all motorcycles, but I'd have thought the Ducatis would work a little bit harder in the tight parts.
Well, the great thing with Phillip Island, like Surfers Paradise, which was a similar track that was raced on a few years ago, always produces very, very close racing. The faster the track and the more flowing the corners, the closer the racing seems to be.
Well, it certainly suits the motorcycles, there's no doubt about that. And you can see here Sean Giles on camera. The bike is small. He looks huge on the thing, but the bike is absolutely small relative to his size. Now here comes McCarthy working over the back of Martin Craggle on the Zurich Team Kawasaki machine. Now, McCarthy knows that point score-wise, it'd be nice to be a further bike ahead. Oh, look at that, Sean Giles power sliding his way onto the straight. Wow, that looks fantastic. But McCarthy knows in his mind that he just has to keep it all together, make sure he piles on the points. Now, here he comes. Look at this, up behind the Zurich machine. Snaps out of the slipstream, gets to the outside. Gee, this is going to be a long run down. That'll put him up the inside as they come down here into turn one. That is fast, no doubt about that. Just look at the speed of that Honda. Dennis Neal just blew him away.
Certainly did. He's using all the power of that bike. It is very, very precise in the handling. Been prepared by the factory and will have all the right bits in it, and Kirk is certainly doing a great job considering that huge get-off that he had yesterday.
Yes, and remarkably the motorcycle wasn't that badly damaged, and fortunately for him they didn't have to revert to the spare bike. Mladen still in control. Sean Giles sitting back in second place. Here's McCarthy now up into third. Craggle sitting back in fourth place. Robbie Baird's up there as well, the second of the Honda riders. That's him going through there in fifth place, and then Jason McEwen coming through in sixth. This is fantastic island action as usual. We see the great racing here. Look at the riders using all of the track right out to that white line just to get the apex in order to get the top speed that they can out of the machine before they get to the apex point of the next corner. This looks a strong ride here from Matthew Mladen, and you know, really he's come on so well towards the latter part of this season, and he looks strong for next year. In fact, he's off overseas. So many of the riders in the last 2 weeks, or in fact in the last couple of days, Dennis, have announced what they're doing and where they're going. We've got riders heading all over the world.
Yeah, well, Mladen's certainly putting it together. He's come on very, very strong in the second part of the championship here, riding the bike right on the limit. See it shaking and weaving around. He's got that thing right on the limit. And Australia really has become, they're once again sliding it out onto the straight. Australia really has become the proving ground and where all the factory team managers do look to get their talent. And as you said, several of the riders heading off to represent Australia in the world stage next year.
Isn't that great news? The best news is, though, is Kirk McCarthy's managed to get around Sean Giles. So McCarthy up into second place. Remember, this is the race for the Australian Superbike Championship. We've got riders, in fact, leaving Australia in droves at the moment. We've got Mladen heading overseas to the USA to race for Yoshimura Suzuki. We've got Kirk McCarthy heading to Europe to race in the World Championship for the factory Suzuki team in the Superbikes. I tell you what, we're producing some great riders here in Australia. The best part, of course, is that these rides now become available for younger riders to make their way forward out of 600 Supersport or some of the other classes. So Australia, the breeding ground for talent, and it seems to me we're the shopping trolley for the world. If the teams are looking for someone fast and strong, they come to Australia first. Right at the moment, the battle, well, further through the field, as you can see, is on for young and old into the bargain, but this is the race for the championship. Mladen out in front. Then you've got Kirk McCarthy, bike 6, sitting in second place. He's ahead on points, but the man behind him, Sean Giles, is prepared to throw everything he possibly can to come up with the goods. And just look at Mladen. He looks so strong as he comes up and over Lukey Heights. Now, the question is, what can Sean Giles do about it? He knows that the man in front is not 100%, but all the while he's using everything he's got. Oh, McCarthy power sliding his way onto the straight. You can't beat a Superbike and a super slide, and that's exactly what he's doing. Gee, this is electric racing for second place. Mladen just keeping it tidy out in front, doing what he's trying to do. Here's McCarthy reaching for a tear-off on the visor, just trying to keep the vision nice and clean. Let's have a look at it. It is McCarthy sitting in second place, top of the points table though, and really he would love to get Matthew Mladen and put him between himself and Sean Giles.
Well, both Mladen and McCarthy really using up their rear Dunlop tyres. I tell you what, they're both getting nice power slides, and as I said, very, very hot ambient temperature here. And this Phillip Island circuit is probably the second most abrasive circuit or hard circuit on rear tyres in Australia. Wanneroo's the hardest, and Phillip Island without doubt is number 2.
Yes, the technicians have been working pretty well overtime on tyres. There's been a lot of changing. Oh, here comes Sean Giles up the inside. Giles grabs second place off McCarthy, and McCarthy really couldn't do anything about it. He just didn't have a corner to turn into. Giles super late on the brakes, and that enabled him to get up the inside and then control the situation. McCarthy there starting to get into a slide. Dennis, I agree with you. I think tyres really are going to come into play towards the latter half of this race, but that's not affecting Matt Mladen out in front. He is simply running away with this. Craggle's back in fourth place, so he's managed to get past Robbie Baird, and all 4 of them seem to have literally left Jason McEwen behind. But the action right at the moment is electric at the front. Just have a look at this. Matthew Mladen just tidy and fast out in front.
Well, Sean Giles has been watching McCarthy in front doing those power slides, and he's thought, right, his tyres are starting to go off a little bit there. That's really spurred him on to dive up the inside, and he knows that Mladen is using the same sort of a tyre, so he thinking in his mind that he's got an advantage here. He's right down the draft of Mladen. It's going to be action down with this very fast right-hander. Mladen holds his line. Giles, he has a look up the inside. He'll try and set himself up, I think, in a similar position to where he passed McCarthy on that previous lap.
Well, right at the moment, Mladen very forceful out there. I don't really think that Sean Giles had much of a chance to get up the inside. It was Mladen's corner, and he was guaranteed to hang on to it. Gee, Mladen's bike's moving around a fair bit out there, and you can see now that Sean Giles can really smell the lead of this race. And have a look at this. Oh, can you believe this? Sean Giles has gone into the back of Matthew Mladen's bike. A big hit there for Sean Giles. Wow, what happened there? I'm not sure. It just seemed that he ranged up onto the back of Matthew Mladen's bike and just tapped the back of it, and the result being, well, he's moving around it, and okay, let's have a look at this on the Shell replay. What's the situation? Oh, Mladen's gotten into trouble. That's what's caused all of this. Mladen's had a problem. Giles had nowhere to go and has tapped the back of the machine and simply gone down. Well, fortunately, Sean looks probably winded more than anything else. He's moving around. Marshall's with him there. Let's have a look at this again from a bit of a different angle. Now you can see here as Giles tries to just set himself up for a bit of a braking manoeuvre. Oh yes, Mladen's had a major moment and almost crashed himself. And unfortunately, Sean Giles, wrong place, wrong time. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Now, Martin Craggle has come through. Matthew Mladen has come into the pits. Mladen obviously had a problem with the bike. Martin Craggle has come right on by into the bargain. Dennis Neal, dead right about the tyres here. It looks to me as if McCarthy is just trying to soldier on. Now that he knows that Sean Giles is out of the picture, he's just going to ride for the finish.
Yeah, I think that's right. That was a big incident there. Mladen, having a good look at it on that second angle, lost the rear end, and Sean Giles was committed trying to set himself around the outside for an out-braking manoeuvre into the next right-hander, and simply had nowhere to go. When Mladen's bike stepped that 6 inches sideways, it clipped Giles' bike and just sent him down the road.
Yeah, bad luck, and word is that Sean Giles is A-OK. They're on their final lap. Martin Craggle on the Zurich Team Kawasaki machine has assumed the lead, and will virtually take this one out because he is a mile in front. Now, off camera, we know that Kirk McCarthy is still riding around out there, but at a much reduced pace. They had a big lead over the rest of the field. So here they are now. That is your second place man, the leader point score-wise. That is Kirk McCarthy. Right behind him, his teammate, Robbie Baird, riding shotgun. So there's no doubt that there's team orders out there and that Robbie Baird is not to take points off the team leader, the team rider. Martin Craggle, though, you've got to hand it to him. He was there, keeping up the pace, and it's certainly gone his way. There's no doubt about that. Here is McCarthy and Baird, the two team Honda riders. And McCarthy, I think, would be just thinking to himself, I'm about a half a lap from home. I'm going to keep it all together. Robbie Baird's behind me. Let's just make it the last half lap and make it the championship.
Yeah, he's riding that around almost at walking pace. Obviously got some sort of either machine problem or tyre problem, but just riding around slowly, trying to get it home on this last lap to gather some points.
Yep, Craggle doing a nice job though, and you can see here that Baird is just looking after his team leader there. In fact, not really team leader. I suppose you end up being the team leader when you've got more points going into the last round. I mean, it's obvious. If it was the other way around, it would be Kirk McCarthy looking after Robbie Baird. Here is the race leader though, heading onto the straight, and the checkered flag, Martin Craggle, doing a big job out there. And you know, Marty Craggle, he's come a long way in the last couple of seasons from a privateer. Look, having a look around thinking, gee, is this really a race? Going to do a Kevin Schwantz as he crosses the line. Very pleased with that, grabs the points, and of course, grabs the victory in the first race, the Superbike race here. Plenty of action. You can't beat Phillip on when it comes to action and motorcycle racing. Craggle grabs the points. Here they come across the line. Now, this means, point score-wise, we have a new Australian Superbike champion. There he is, Bike 6. Kirk McCarthy has taken out the 1995 Shell Oils Australian Road Racing Championship. The points, 172 to an unbeatable situation for him. Sean Giles on 141, Mladen on 126. So second place yet to be decided. Well, that wraps it up for today's show. Next week we have the final races from round 6 of the Bike Championship, along with race action from Wakefield Park and Eastern.